Good evening to everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Can I Write an Album?
What are you doing? Get off! No one heard that! Stop! I'll tell you to do it!
One, two, three.
So good.
And yeah, so still working on Decreedance. And I'm not going to say that at every episode because it's actually an interesting point. I was just thinking about this, and I'm unsure of how this is going to work long term. Like, I've started off with this one song, but who knows how long I'm going to be able to concentrate on that one. So I think I'm going to have to mix up the episodes in some way, shape or form. It'll still be same title and everything, but I might move from song to song. So each episode will essentially be will have the song name as part of the title, but the episode number will keep increasing as I go along. That makes the most sense. So that's what I'll do. But yeah. So I have been playing around, obviously, with the drums and the acoustic guitar for Decreedance, and I'm now playing around with electric. I think in the last video I had sort of recorded a electric guitar part, which was basically just me noodling over the whole thing, and not very well, if I'm completely honest. The idea is obviously, though, that the more I play around, the more likely I'll find something as a hook or something that can be repeated. The song kind of has quite a strong hook though anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that. However, what sort of prompted this particular video, and I'll add this as the start of episode 3 obviously, but there'll be more, but was that the bridge itself, I fell into a picking pattern on one version that I recorded of an electric guide track, which has kind of allowed me to extend it out a little bit and hasn't changed the tempo, or I don't know exactly what it's done. It's changed the emphasis on the beat. I think is maybe I don't know what. I'm sure someone will correct me if anyone ever watches this as to what I mean, and you'll hear it obviously at some point. I'm not going to record that right now, but I will record it when I come to the rest of this video. So I thought I'd say something just quickly. I figured if I'm using a piece of equipment in a video, I should probably explain what that piece of equipment is, and therefore I'll never have to explain again. If I continue to do this, it means it's just there and indelibly in the record. So I've been recording the bass part, and this is my bass. It's not actually mine. It's my brother-in-law's, who I believe stole it from the music department of, I won't say which school, although I might be wrong about that. Not 100% sure, but it's the kind of thing you'd find in school, right? It's a Hohner Professional B2A, and it's licensed by Steinberg, so it has all of the proper Steinberg fittings. It's an active bass, but the battery component is completely screwed. Doesn't work anymore. But it has a XLR out regardless, so I always use that rather than the jack. I don't think it makes much of a difference, but there's a high, I think it's a high Z input on the L2, the L12, the Zoom L12. So it's going into that. I always have found that I get a better signal from the XLR. I'm assuming that's correct, but I don't know the science, so who knows. But yeah, and I for years it only had 3 strings, because this block here, which is essentially, this whole thing is a section of 4 steel blocks. I don't know if you can see that in there. Yeah, maybe. And this one was missing, and I found a company in Germany that makes them, so I was able to get it back, put 4 strings on it. If I'm honest with you, it could really do with a setup by a proper technician. I've tried screwing around with all of this. This is basically the tuners down here. So it's just this that does the intonation. Yeah, and I don't know if it's right. It is, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It seems to me. I try and get it pretty close. It works well enough. I think I've recorded it enough that it never sounds bad. I quite like it. I've had a bass player friend come around and pick it up and go, "Oh, this is horrible to play." Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't have any. This is the only bass I've ever really played, so I don't have anything to benchmark it against really. I've thought about buying a new one, but as long as this one stays in tune, the pickup is good. So, and then I've just got that going into the Waves Sheps Neve 73 emulation, the channel strip. And it's like as soon as I turn that on, this sounds fine. Sounds perfectly good. I'll do more with it. I'll probably put it into a bass amp emulator as well. But yeah, so that's the bass. So I think I'm pretty much there. I know what I want to play. There's one. Sorry about the noise. There's one part where I'm not 100% sure on the progression that the bass should take. But I think I've got something I can, once I'm able to play it consistently, will work. Quite pleased with it actually. And so the way I went about it was just essentially, I just fucked around until I found something that was suitable, and then expanded on it. I guess is really the way I got into it. It's fairly simple chords. It's an E. It's the bridge isn't as complicated as I thought it was. The picking pattern and stuff is a little tricky, but the chords themselves are pretty standard. So I was able to find a pathway with that pretty simply. The bridge is still a bit tricky. Getting the timing going into it with the bass I'm struggling with, but then I struggled with the timing coming out on the electric. So it's just I'll get the timing. It's a bit weird. I think my next task, I still need to finish off the bass, and don't get me wrong, it's not complete. The next task really is to find a beat that works for the bridge. Need it to move differently in the bridge. I'm not sure how to do it, and that's kind of the difficulty. I can hear in my head kind of what I want, but I don't know how to move the MIDI, so that's going to be a learning curve to sort of. Bass part, 95% written, so obviously need to finish that off and then complete the recording of that, but then I can write that track down and that's done. Then I can start moving on. I think this kind of wants some. I think it wants some keys. I always gravitate towards organs, not bodily organs, obviously. Just Wurlitzers.
You have something to say, I'd love to hold you to it. My loyalty's moving when you're about to bring it. You graciously forget all of those things that I get here to. I got skin in this game, so.
Yeah, so I think that's the best bass part that I've got so far. And I'm definitely pleased with the software. Like, this is so cool. Like, I didn't think I'd be able to just sort of share a screen this easily. So yeah, shout out like whoever makes OBS. Amazing bit of software. Well pleased. So I finished with I think, well, I committed at least to a bass part. I think there's one note wrong in it, which I'm going to have to correct at some point. And a guitar part, which I think, as I said before, will stay in the mix. I've written both those tracks down, so they're set aside. So they're definitely the guide for the rest of the build. So the foundations are there, so just need to build on what's next. I thought what I'd do is a little listen of just the transition from the verse part to the bridge part, with the change that I spoke about earlier in the podcast in tempo that I've done to the bridge. So I thought I'd just give a brief glimpse of what that is, give you a sense of what the bass and guitar parts sound like. Yeah, I'll do that first. So let's see if I can get this to work. So let me just... When I say there's one note wrong in the bass part, there's lots of timing bits that are wrong in the bass part, but all the notes are right apart from one. I just realised I talked over that transition. Put it back. Is that moved to half time? Is that what you call that? I'm going down to see James Carey today. Anyway, yeah, so that's how that goes. So that's the volume of the song pretty much all the way through. That's the mix, a very rough mix, obviously, between the bass. The drums I have just pulled out of the bridge because although I can play to the drum beat in that tempo, it sounds really weird when you just leave it in. So I've taken the drums out with that. I'm going down to see James today, so I was going to just hopefully discuss with him what the most appropriate drums would be for that. He hopefully can help me out. But anyway, so that's that. I'm kind of thinking the guide lyric I've taken out as well because it's just slightly odd now with the bass in there, so I need to re-record a guide melody, and I need to think of some lyrics for the bridge. I think maybe just the second half. I also am thinking that it should have some synth in there of some sort. It's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds long at this point in time. I'd like to extend that out to somewhere around 3 minutes if I can. I don't want it to be much longer than that, really. So I think it's just going to need some stops and a bit of maybe another break in between the two verses, maybe a bit more of an intro. Not as filler, but I think a 3-minute song would be better than a 2 minute and 20 second song, essentially. So I'm going to try and write some more to it, maybe even extend the bridge by another bar or do something else in that bridge in that tempo. Anyway, so that's the next steps. I'm going to record those hopefully over the course of the next couple of days, and then I'll have this podcast out at the beginning of the week and start working on episode number 4. Anyway,